guys, so this is our hamster Gerald. We have two hamsters here on the ranch, Gerald and Pickles, and today I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about hamster care and how, if you have a hamster at home or are looking to get one, how you can take care of them to the best of your abilities.
Howdy, and welcome to the Bar SC Ranch, where you will experience our journey of running a family business, caring for animals, and doing life together. Subscribe now and be inspired here at the Bar SC.
So I want to tell you guys a little bit more about Gerald. So Gerald's been with us for about 5 months now. Towards the beginning of this year, my dad and I actually went to a swap meet just to walk around, just to look at some things, and of course I came home with a baby hamster. This little guy was just about that big. I mean, he was the tiniest little hamster you ever did see, and he was in a small cage, like a quarter the size of his one that he's living in now, with like 20 other hamsters, and they were all full size. They were all like this big, and he was just a little tiny guy. And he couldn't reach the water, and he just, was very clearly not most likely going to make it because no one was going to give him the time of day. Sometimes things happen at different places. There's not always that same standard of care. But I saw that and knew that he had to come home with me. And so I bought him from the swap meet and carried him around in this little tiny box. Took him home, and then now he lives in this awesome setup and is a super friendly, super happy hamster. Now he lives in a really, cool setup. Hamsters are hard to hold. He lives in a really cool setup like this, but for a couple of weeks, he actually, right after coming home from the swap meet, had an eye infection. So not only was he like half the size of my pinky finger, but his whole right eye was just swollen shut. He couldn't get it open. I had no idea what to do. I mean, I had a little bit of an idea what to do, but he's so small. How do you even begin to treat that? So I took him to the vet. We got him some antibiotic eye drops, and the poor little guy was just miserable for a few weeks as I had to pick him up and give him these little eye drops in his eyeball, get his eye open. But after only a few days of those eye drops, his eye opened. It's still there. It's completely normal. Most likely that injury happened because he was living with like 80 other hamsters at one time, as they're not supposed to. But otherwise, he's one of the friendliest hamsters I've ever had. And I've had hamsters all growing up. He's a little dwarf hamster, so he's not very big. But he's actually quite easy to handle in comparison to some other hamsters. He moves around a lot. But otherwise, I do think he appreciates coming home with us and coming here to live at the ranch, rather than being stuck in a pen with a bunch of big hamsters that weren't very nice to him. So he treats us very well, and we're very happy to have him. So one of Gerald's favorite things, and we learned that he loved it when we were still having to give him those eye drops for his eye, because these were his little treat, were sunflower seeds. He likes just the normal sunflower seeds you'd find at the shop, and he can fit quite a few of those in his little cheek pouches. So we're going to try today. We've never actually tried to see how many he can hold in there. We're going to try that at the end of the video today. First, we're going to teach you just a little bit about hamsters and hamster care, and then we're going to try and find out how many he can hold. My bet is on around 15, so keep watching and stay tuned till the end to find out how many this little tiny guy can hold in his cheeks. So here are two of the most common ways that you will find hamsters housed. We have what you would find at your local pet store, which is a wire cage with a little dish on the bottom to hold your substrate. And then my favorite, and our favorite here at the ranch, is this glass terrarium style, and we're going to go over a little bit about what makes this such a great style. You can find both of these at your local pet store, $20–30 depending on where you go. They're not very expensive. One of the things that does make this glass style a little bit better is the fact that you can make the substrate or the bedding a little bit deeper. And we know hamsters love to burrow, they love to dig, so giving them a little bit more substrate with which to dig is definitely a good enrichment practice and keeps your hamster nice and occupied throughout the day. But this wire cage, there's nothing wrong with a wire cage like this. If this is what you have available and this is what you have access to, that's totally fine. But you want to keep in mind that no matter how tall it is, the area that you're actually providing your hamster with, you need to consider just the length and the width of the bottom. You don't want to be saying, well, it's actually a huge cage because it's 8 feet tall. So with a hamster, they're digging animals. They're not tree climbing hamsters. You don't find hamsters up in the top of a tree. So while, they might utilize this space up here, you don't want to count it when you're looking towards how much space you're providing your hamster. Same thing with the tubes. If you have a whole bunch of tubes, that's really cool. That's awesome enrichment. But that needs to be in addition to a large enough sized bottom section where they can do their digging and they're moving around and they're walking and running in. So if I've sold you on the glass terrarium style for your hamster and that's what you're looking towards getting, You want to keep in mind the size. Of course, we want to be looking for square footage of ground space, not of how tall it is. It could be, again, 8 feet tall. Doesn't make any difference to your hamster. This is a great size. This is a 20-gallon long aquarium. You could get them for fish or for reptiles. Doesn't matter. Doesn't need to hold water. No big deal. And this allows me, I could put, 4 or 5 inches of bedding down there. And Gerald, our little hamster who's running around, loves to dig. So I'm going to show you a little bit inside of his tank, but also we want to keep in mind this lid here. It's just what you would buy for a reptile. It's just a mesh top. With reptiles and snakes, you buy little clips to really hold it on. With a hamster, if your hamster is tall enough, they're able to pick up your the top of your lid. You've probably bought a guinea pig or a rabbit instead. No way is your hamster pushing this up, so we just set ours on there. We've never had any issue. If you do have like a really nosy cat or a really nosy dog, then definitely look to either put, some kind of book or something heavy on top, or you can just buy little clips that hold it onto your tank. But otherwise, this provides a lot of ventilation. So hamsters can be prone to upper respiratory issues from inhaling dust or other particles that come from the bedding that they're in and they're digging around in. So as much ventilation as you can give them is great, which is one of the things about those wire cages that is awesome. They are really well ventilated. But I'm going to show you a little bit more about why the glass tanks really are just fantastic. So we'll go through a little bit of what's in here. The first thing we have is a food dish, and this has a nice wide bottom to it, so your hamster will most likely love to sit inside of their food dish while they eat and climb in there. So if you have something tall and narrow or something without a large base, they're most likely going to tip it over and there's just going to be food everywhere. And then you have no idea what you fed them, if they need more food, if they have enough food. So this wide bottom really helps, but you can also just use, silly little dude is stuck. There we go. They're very fun pets. But you can also just use a bowl from your house that is designed in a similar way where it's a wide base and not too tall. The next thing that we have in here is a water. And Gerald's water, since it isn't a tank, a lot of the waters you find hook onto the wire. So since we don't have wire, we've used Velcro instead. And this is just your standard drip waterer where when he touches the little ball, water comes out. You want to make sure that you get one that's the right size for your hamster. Getting something ginormous and thinking you never have to fill it again is not super helpful because, just think about drinking water that's been sitting out for, weeks and weeks and weeks. It doesn't taste as good after a while, and you really want to encourage little guys to be drinking as much as possible. So we chose a nice small little water for him. The next thing that's really important for our hamsters and that they really enjoy is an exercise wheel. So these wheels, if your hamster is living in your bedroom or anywhere where you might be attempting to sleep or need some peace and quiet, really work towards finding one that's quiet. This one's not particularly loud. It's on the quieter side of things, but they have even quieter ones. It's important that your wheel not be made of mesh. You can find at the pet store that some of these wheels will be made of a wire, and that wire is not great because it can actually hurt your hamster's feet. So think about trying to run on wire all the time. They might break a toe or they might get their little legs stuck or something bad like that. It's better to have a solid bottom, just like this plastic one. The next thing that we have in here is a huge play structure, and as I take it out, there's a very good chance it falls apart. This was something that I purchased on Amazon for like $3. Super cheap. You can find all kinds of things like this online. But it's just a little play structure. No, dude, I don't have any food. Sorry. And you can see I have bedding all stuck to the inside of it because he's been using this little play area to dig and to burrow, and I like to bury a little bit of it so that he can really utilize those skills that hamsters have and that they use in the wild to dig and burrow and bury things, and it's enrichment, another enrichment practice for him. I'll set this down. The next thing that we have, this is a certain kind of chew. You'll find them made of wood, or this is a loofah material. This sort of material, it's something that they can chew on. So hamsters, their teeth will continually grow throughout their lifetime. So if you don't provide them with stuff to chew on, those teeth can actually grow to a point that they begin to cut up the inside of your hamster's mouth. So you want to make sure they have things to chew on that's not just their food. The seeds and the grains that they eat for their food don't wear down their teeth quite well enough. But they have this kind, and you have wood. And they come in a variety. They're not all carrots. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes and colors. You can get a couple different ones. See what your hamster likes best. But it's important to have one in there at all times. The last thing that we have in here is Gerald's little house. And this is a little tiny one. It's designed to look like a barn so that it fits in with our barn. They make them in all kinds of shapes and sizes. I've even seen people use like a little mason jar turned on its side with some bedding in there. It's really up to you what you use, but you want to make sure that it's a small enclosed space. Your hamster is going to feel the most comfortable when they can feel tight. They feel like they just barely fit in there. It's nice and snug, it's secure. It's going to keep them comfortable in using their house. Gerald likes to bury all his food in his house, but he also sleeps in here. But if you have a little tiny hamster and you get a really big house, they probably won't use it. They won't feel as secure as they would if you get them a house that's just a little bit bigger than they are. Just enough room that they could go in there and turn around is the perfect size for a little hideaway house kind of area. And the only thing left in here now, we've taken out all of his items here, is the substrate. So Gerald, we have him on like a paper material substrate. So you can find, what we use for horses is a wood shaving, and we use it sometimes for our bunnies. But you want to be careful that you don't use any kind of woods that are very aromatic. So like pine wood is a big one, that it releases a lot of scent and a lot of oils, and that can be bad for your hamster's upper respiratory system. So what we find is best here is using this paper bedding. You can find it at your local pet store. It comes in a variety of really fun colors. So if you have like a theme going on in your hamster's cage, you can get a cool color that matches. But I have noticed recently they've been selling it in a scented variety, and I get it, the smell of hamster's not fun, but you know, imagine living in like scented bedding all the time. It's not great, again, for their upper respiratory system. So we use the unscented variety, and we just clean it, you know, every couple of days. Gerald can even go, I mean, I could leave him for several weeks and it wouldn't be a bad situation in here. But because we have the time and because we like to keep it, you know, absolutely perfect for animals, I'll spot clean this every few days. They do sometimes find one place that they like to poop more than others, and we just go to that corner and dig up a little bit of, you know, any kind of poop or pee or anything like that, clean it out, add a little bit more, done. Under 5 minutes and we're done. And I do that probably twice a week. So about 10 minutes a week I spend cleaning. That's it for this guy. And his cage doesn't smell very bad at all. I can smell, you know, I know a hamster's in there, but it's not like, oh my gosh, someone get the hamster out from under my nose. And it's, I mean, you're always going to be able to smell hamster, but you don't want to be like, whoa, hamster! That's too much. You need to clean more often. So while I clean out Gerald's cage, I like to put him in his exercise ball. And you can get your own hamster an exercise ball just like this. What you want to be careful of is that the diameter of the ball is enough that as your hamster is running around inside of it, they're not having to arch their back. It's the same thing with their wheel. Gerald's a very tiny hamster, and so he doesn't need a very big wheel or a very big ball. But if you have a larger hamster, you want to make sure that they're almost completely flat as they run in their ball or their wheel. You don't want them really crunched up in there. You'll end up with giving them back problems. So I'm going to put him down on the ground. He's going to run around for a little bit in here, and I'm going to clean his cage while he does that. There's 9 in. You want 10? No, he always eats the 9th. So 9 is his maximum. He gets up to 9 and then he eats it. But he still has the other 8 in his pouches. So apparently 8 is how many he can hold, and he'll eat the 9th. I don't know how he's eating it with his pouches filled, but he definitely is. says, I am stuffed. Knowing? No? No knowing? Knowing? Nope. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope that you learned a little something about hamster care. And if you are looking to get a hamster of your own and you have some more questions or want to learn a little bit more about it than you learned in this video, you can check out our hamster care ebook, which we will link below, that you can find on our website. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, we'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe and leave us comments about what you might like to see in future episodes. We'll see ya back on the ranch.